Carl, why should Taysom Hill get a shot? Why should he get a shot? Sign Mike Golick Jr. Again, we're not doing that. All right, so let's talk Saints football. Ever since we found out that Drew Brees had pretty much had his torso destroyed, his ribcage smashed up, his lung punctured or collapsed in the last two games, the question was who was going to get the start for the Saints against Atlanta on Sunday. Sean Payton made it very clear he was not going to tell anybody until he absolutely had to, but that did not stop people from speculating, and it seemed pretty straightforward. We all kind of accepted this. Jameis Winston was the guy who stepped in against San Francisco when Brees went down. And he was solid, so why would you mess with a good thing? He's an experienced NFL starter. He's the former number one pick overall. He's faced the Falcons for years. The Saints have been through a situation like this before when Brees missed time last year and Teddy Bridgewater stepped in. You just toss the keys to Winston. You tell him to be careful, not try and do too much. Show him the reads that you like. Encourage him not to take any unnecessary risks. And then let Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas win the game for you. Don't do anything that leads to a big mistake and those dozens of INTs from last season. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it makes sense. Because Winston is closer to a plug-and-play replacement for Brees, whereas with Taysom Hill, you'd have to do like a total offensive scheme overhaul. That's the kind of thing that takes time, the kind of thing that you want to do in the offseason, not in the middle of the season, not in the middle of a season where you're playing to win it all right now. I mean, sure, maybe you give Hill more plays than he got when Bridgewater was the guy last year. Maybe you make it more of a Jameis offense. But Jameis is the starter. Give Jameis the start. Trust number 41. Take a few safe, deep shots. Eat a few W's while Brees is out. Rehab your image as an NFL starter. Then parlay that into a nice contract for next year. In other words, run the Teddy Bridgewater playbook. I mean, it all made such perfect sense. Until the rug got ripped out from underneath that this morning, because the starter is not going to be Jameis Winston. It is, in fact, Taysom Hill. Psych! Adam Schefter tweeted, quote, Saints QB Taysom Hill will start Sunday versus the Falcons. Per source, Hill took all the starter reps at practice this week. Jameis Winston will be the backup. End quote. To paraphrase a most famous quote, surprise, surprise, mother bleeper. Sean Payton just deked the entire world. And this is not some two-headed monster either, as I mentioned. Jameis is not Jameis. Because they're not sharing this thing. It's not going to be a Jameis situation. Taysom Hill is going to be the starter. Jameis Winston is going to be the backup. Cut and dried. This is not a package of plays for Winston. His package is hold the clipboard. Man, well played, Coach. Unless you're Jameis. Well played, Sean. Very well played. Now we get to see what happens when you turn the entire offense over to Taysom Hill. This is what we've been waiting for. Well, not some of you. I mean, again, this guy has polarized fans. He did so earlier in the season when he come on the field for a few plays, but now he's going to be on the field for every single play. And again, to me, I don't care what some of you dopes say, it's a fascinating move. Because the Saints have said for a while now they believe that Hill is the guy to follow Brees in New Orleans. Hill has said for a while now he should be starting in the NFL, or he sees himself as an NFL starter. But remember, both of them were saying those things, but they passed him over last year for Teddy Bridgewater. And to do that again this year would say that they may not have confidence in him as the guy to follow Brees. I have to admit, that's the one thing I thought. And in fact, I said it on the show. When it became clear, or it seemed clear, that Jameis Winston was going to get that shot, my thought was, yeah, but what's Taysom Hill going to say? How's that going to make him feel? The guy's already on record as saying he thinks he should be an NFL starter. One thing to bypass him last year for Teddy Bridgewater, but to do it again this year for Jameis? And come to find out, that's not what they're doing. So not only do they have confidence in him as the guy to follow Brees, They want him to do it right now. I can't wait to see that. I mean, to me, that is brass. That is brass as hell. You're going with a guy who has 18 career pass attempts over a guy with nearly 2,600 pass attempts. And I couldn't respect it any more than I do. Because while most folks were on Twitter earlier, cracking Peyton, cracking Hill when he would come into the game earlier, Peyton has never wavered on this guy. He loves the guy. He loves what he brings to his offense. So, what have they got in store? Because you can't just let this guy run the way he's run, right? In the past, you can't have this guy lowering his head, trucking linebackers if he's your starting quarterback. Am I right? But that's part of what makes Hill, Hill. You can't have this guy completely abandon that either and turn him into some drop-back pocket passer. You can't ask that guy never to leave the pocket. So, do you have him run a little bit, pass a little bit, and then put most of the game on 41 shoulders? You know, keep it simple. Or do you take a big swing? I mean, you already are by handing the keys to this guy. Do you make it an even bigger swing and see if you can literally overhaul the offense in the middle of the season? I mean, damn, that is bold. That's brash. That's confident. But you know what? On some level, as crazy as it sounds, the safer move would have been to go with Winston. Like, I know that sounds insane because the guy was a member of the 30-30 club last year, right? But the safer move would have been to give the football to the guy who had 30 interceptions last year. That's a move that pretty much justifies, or you could justify to everybody. If it backfired, you could easily say that it would have been too complicated to switch to Hill in the middle of the season and that you wanted to go with the experienced hand for games in November and maybe December. That's easier to justify. That's easier to sell. And Sean Payton's not doing it. He's going with Hill. He's shocking the system. He's shaking everything up. I'm not sure how many coaches there are in the NFL that would do that. Maybe none. This might be the only guy. But if anybody can pull this off, it's Sean Payton. He has experience with it. Before he came to the Saints, he was cooking up offenses for guys like Quincy Carter, Vinny Testaverde, Chad Hutchinson, and Drew Bledsoe. If anybody can switch up plans and schemes on a dime, it's Payton. This move, to me, says a hell of a lot about Taysom Hill, and it says a hell of a lot about Sean Payton. And unlike a lot of you, I can't wait to see it. And I think it's going to play out well. I think it's going to go very well for them. I can't wait to see it.